On this episode, we talk about our recent trip where we stayed at the Wyndham Lake Buena Vista at Disney Springs, saw Blue October at the House of Blues, dined at Garden Grill, and took in the Candlelight Processional with Josh Gad. This is part 1. Today is December 13th, 2022, and this is episode 521 of the Main Street Magic Podcast.
Jeremy and Rhonda are more than a little fond of Disney World, so they made this podcast to share it all with you. Reports and resorts, top 10 lists of all sorts, Main Street Magic's bringing it home for you.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Main Street Magic. I am your host, Jeremy Stein, and as always, I'm joined by my lovely wife, Rhonda.
Hey guys.
Make sure you check us out on the web at mainstmagic.com, as well as follow on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at mainstmagic. And if you've not done so already, head on out to Facebook and search for the Main Street Magic community and ask to join. Then if you hit that subscribe button, you're going to get brand new episodes every Tuesday and Friday. If you're getting ready to plan that next Disney or Universal vacation, looking to go on a cruise, or pretty much travel anywhere else in the world, head to mainstmagictravel.com and fill out a form for a free quote. Our travel services are completely free to you.
Well, today we are talking all about our weekend and how fun it was and what we did and the new things we tried.
This was jam-packed.
It was, and it was just me and you.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Did you enjoy that?
I did. I really did. Yeah, we had a very, very busy weekend. We're going to talk about Wyndham Lake Buena Vista at Disney Springs, our first time in that portion of the hotel.
Yep.
We're going to talk about going to House of Blues and eating a little something and then seeing Blue October. Mm-hmm. We're going to talk about Garden Grill, our first time.
Woo!
We're going to talk about Josh Gad. We're going to talk about Anna and Elsa. We're going to talk about pizza, a lot of pizza. All kinds of wonderful things. So let's go ahead, I guess, and dive in. And what I think we'll do is we'll kind of just walk through the weekend, in a sense. So let's start with Friday morning, just this past Friday. We headed straight down to Hollywood Studios, right?
We did. Yes, and I wanted to eat at Brown Derby Lounge because A, we haven't, B, it was supposed to be a beautiful Florida day.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to enjoy it. And it worked out really well because Jeremy, unfortunately, his little foot and psoriatic arthritis flared up. So we did get a wheelchair. So if you want to talk about that first and get that out of the way.
So normally, and I'll just cover the whole thing. We won't go through the rest of the weekend as far as that's concerned, because luckily things by Saturday felt pretty good for me. But yeah, I knew like I had a flare up coming, and this happens every time. Like I know my foot is like, oh, look at the calendar. They're going to Disney. Let's go ahead and have a flare up and make it so that Jeremy can't walk without excruciating pain. So I knew Friday morning when we woke up, I was like, oh boy. I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this. Normally we contact Kingdom Strollers, our wonderful partner who doesn't just rent strollers. They also rent ECVs. Mm-hmm. And usually I'll go ahead and rent an ECV. If you're looking to do something like that, you can go to msmfriends.com, find their link there for strollers, ECVs, all that kind of good stuff. So this time I was actually like, you know what? It's not awful. Why don't we do something a little different and see what it's like to actually go to Disney Guest Services in one of the parks and rent a wheelchair? And I'll call it an old school wheelchair. Mm-hmm. And so I started looking it up. I'm like, all right, it's $12 a day. That's not bad at all. Yep. If you do multiple days, it's $10 per day. Go ahead and book that, ahead of time. So we got into Hollywood Studios, and right there on the right, behind the little Coca-Cola man, stand-up guy that everybody knows, is strollers and wheelchairs and ECVs as well. So we said, all right, we're going to look to get a wheelchair. And she said, do you want to do it for multiple days? Said, let's do it today, tomorrow, $20 all in. Yeah. So no
tax or whatever.
Yeah, no tax, nothing. Yeah,
just awesome.
So the thing with these is that they do not leave the park. So
Correct.
Basically, and they're not available at resorts. So what you would do is you would come into Hollywood Studios, for example, you rent your wheelchair, you go ahead and get it. They give you a receipt and they put a date on it, and then you hold on to that receipt.
Yeah.
Upon exit of Hollywood Studios, you turn in the wheelchair.
Right.
You then, depending on what your situation may be, for me, I had to hobble back to the parking lot to our car. There are transfer wheelchairs available. but I was like, it's not too far. I'll just get through it. We didn't really inquire about getting a transfer wheelchair from front of park to parking lot or buses or whatever it may be, Skyliner in that case. So I was like, all right, that's fine. We'll go ahead and go to the next location. And this is how it works. So you then go to the next location. Let's just say it's Disney Springs. It's another Disney park. You're hopping. You then go to that guest services with the wheelchair rentals and you show them the receipt. They give you a new one.
Right. Same
thing. You exit that park. You're going to turn it back in. You're going to constantly trade this in basically for your length of stay.
Right.
We'll talk about your thoughts on having a wheelchair versus ECV for me in a minute.
Okay.
One thing that I was not aware of, and they did, and it makes perfect sense, but I just want everyone else to be aware of it. And they did not tell us.
And the cast member did not tell us when we were renting. We even said if we go to Disney Springs.
Specifically, yeah. Mm-hmm. So we go to Disney Springs and we go to trade it in. It's near the Lime Garage. We were entering, through where the Disney Springs hotels are at the Wyndham Garden. So it is a little bit of a walk, or in my case, a hobble. And we go up and I'm like, hey, I got my receipt. I'm ready to get a new wheelchair. And he's like, great. That'll be $100 deposit. And I'm like, I'm sorry, what? And this makes perfect sense. He said, because there are so many entrances and exits at Disney Springs, they require a deposit because I think it would be much easier for someone to walk away with one and steal it.
Right.
They do not have security at every entrance, every exit. So I was like, all right, we're getting ready to meet up with some people at House of Blues. I think I'm going to be okay. I really didn't want $100 tied up because as quickly as they can take the $100, they do not return
that quick. Yeah.
So it wasn't like, all right, I trade this thing in tonight when we leave and I get my $100 back, which would have been fine. I'm like, I don't want to be out $100 for, 3, 5, 7 business days, whatever it may be. So just decided not to. Toughed it through the evening, but I was cool. And then Saturday morning I actually felt pretty good and we never ended up getting another wheelchair. But even $20 for that morning at Hollywood Studios was 100% worth it because I wouldn't have made it through.
Yeah.
How do you feel about me being in an old school wheelchair versus an ECV? And based on the cost savings, what would you recommend overall, I guess I would say?
Well, being just me and you, let's just say I would just need to, if this continues, I would just need to work out. I haven't worked out in a long time. And I think if I did, I would have been fine.
It's tiring. It's tiring.
It was hard. I don't think you realize I don't think you realize like how many like hills, air quote unquote,
I didn't know there were any until I was in
Hollywood Studios. But and then it's hard because when you're like going downhill, it's hard to like if I'm trying to. Let's say you can't use your hands or something.
Right.
Like it's hard to try to stop. It's very hard. And then pushing like a air quote uphill, again, it's hard. I'm kind of like, putting all my weight into it. So.
Yeah, and when we were on flatland, like I was fine just, maneuvering it myself, but it does get very tiring for your arms. And so, what would make these old school wheelchairs better is if they were electric. But I do think an ECV is the way to go. And I will say this, and, having now been in an ECV a few times and having some of these issues, I just, my heart goes out to anyone that needs this constantly in the theme parks.
Yeah.
I will say ECVs I feel are a little bit better as far as other guests go, but being in the old school wheelchair, it was almost like an invisibility cloak.
Yeah.
I really felt, and I don't know if because you are lower to the ground, I don't know what it was, but I felt very much as though trying to maneuver was tougher than in an ECV because you did not seem as seen.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Okay.
But it was something we're like, you know what, let's try this out. Let's get the info. Let's figure out how it works. In the future, I will go straight back to Kingdom Strollers and say, let's go ECV route.
Yes.
I think it works much better.
Yeah.
Now let's get into our day and our plans and all that kind of good stuff.
Yeah. So after Hollywood Studios, which was funny because Hollywood, it was very busy this weekend, and from what we think we figured out, it is because the pass holders are about to be blocked out.
Yeah, I think they start blocking out this coming Saturday, I believe, for the holiday season. So this was like last hurrah weekend
Yeah.
for a lot of pass holders outside of Incredipass to get into the parks.
Right.
And we do have a lull coming up here this next week based on what park reservations look like. There's still a lot of availability before we really get into the kind of that week of Christmas.
Right.
So it was very, very busy.
It was very busy. Jeremy looked up all the rides and we were like, well, what do you want to do? And it was, again, like I said, it was tough pushing him around. So I'm all like, I don't care. You decide. And I really didn't. I just wanted to go eat and just hang out and chill at Brown Derby Lounge because of the area that it's at. It is seem a little quieter. You've got the beautiful statues there now. So that's what I really wanted to do. So we kind of, which I was very proud of us this weekend.
Yeah.
We just really browsed.
Yeah,
window
we did.
shopped, as they call it.
I know. We did window
we
shop.
We
did not come home with bags full of merchandise.
Yeah, which I wanted to, and it was really good because I'm going to go ahead and throw this out here now. We almost started to buy a few things actually on Friday.
Yeah.
And Jeremy reminded me that we are going to Blue October and what if we can't carry it around, blah, 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 or you don't want to, and we're going to be here all weekend, so we'll just get it on Saturday. Well, thank God Amy told me that it is 30% for pass holders starting actually Monday, which obviously we're home, but it will be ending on the day that we arrive.
Yeah.
So we do plan to get a few things before that 30% ends.
Yeah.
So with that being said, like I said, we went and got in, I was 11:05, I think we went over to Brown Derby and put our name in.
Yep.
And it's so nice now. They have this whole system where, I got a text and they said it'd be about 15 minutes. And I was like, perfect. So we went and did a little more window shopping. And then, I was looking at my watch and I was like, all right, it should be about 11:20. And sure enough, we were called back around that time. But while we were window shopping, this was super cool. Nate and Brooke from Wilmington, North Carolina are actual listeners. Hey guys, it was so good meeting you. And I guess he looked at Jeremy and then kind of realized wait, are y'all podcasters? And then we just started talking and it was awesome. And they listened to us and super cool. And I think it was one of those things where he was like, they look familiar. And then
when we had the Be Nice to cast member shirts,
yes.
and that's what he really recognized. He was like, I know there's a podcast that does those shirts. And he was like, oh, it's Jeremy and Rhonda.
Yep.
And so that was fun to stop and talk with
Oh,
him
absolutely.
for a little bit.
Yeah.
I always love doing that.
And I think it's so funny too, because I love when maybe somebody doesn't recognize us by seeing, being in the community or whatever, but they do listen. And then we start talking. And that's when he was like, yep. Y'all sound. So it's super cool.
Yeah.
Super cool.
But we got called back to Brown Derby Lounge. Got a little table outside there.
So nice.
And
so nice.
So we ended up waiting. It was literally like 15 minutes, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was like 11:20. I think we were called back.
It was absolutely perfect.
Yeah.
And
perfect.
I'm telling you, so one of the things that's changed since we had last been there is that they used to have a lounge specific food menu outside.
Yes, they
right?
did.
And it's one of the reasons we like it because not only can you get the entire menu from inside, but you can also get this special outside menu, which includes things like a smaller portion of the Cobb salad,
right.
Some sliders, the charcuterie. I think there used to be a little ahi tuna tacos.
Okay.
And I say used to be because we found out they no longer offer this lounge specific food menu. Right?
But good news is the charcuterie is on the menu. Your Cobb salad, of course, is still on the menu. And it looked like everything that was on the menu, the lounge menu, was back on the regular menu.
Yeah.
Our amazing waitress, Danielle, did tell us that, yes, you can get the sliders still. They are pork belly, though.
Yeah.
Which... it sounded amazing, but we've had them before.
Very good. Yeah, they're not listed on any menu, but you're still available to get them. So, and it's fine. Like, I mean, I thought it was neat that they always had that, but I don't think it's really it's not any sort of game changer. And I still personally like the outside setting better than indoors. And
100%.
even Danielle said,
she joked and said it was stuffy, which I've never actually, I did not agree with her on that. I love her and she was amazing, but I've never felt that it was stuffy when we went in.
Yeah.
Like when we went in for my birthday years ago, excuse me, I didn't feel like, oh, I should be wearing something else.
It's an old stuffy. It's a classic stuffy. It's a 1950s or 1940s, 50s stuffy, which makes me not feel stuffy, I think.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So no, we were like, all right, well, we'll go ahead and look at the regular menu. I had already seen.
That's all we were given.
Well, yeah, the regular menu. As we walked in, Ron, who is the bartender there, who I believe lives there, and I think he sleeps under the bar.
They've
been there for 9 years.
Yeah, and Danielle said that it was a pop-up bar, and they then made it like permanent, but he is off. I believe she said Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Yeah, so we always see him because we're always there on weekends. But one of the things I saw as we were walking past is their in holiday fashion is one of their holiday specialty drinks.
Yeah, were you super excited?
I really was,
because it's basically an old fashioned.
Yeah, so this is a Buffalo Trace Kentucky Straight Bourbon, rosemary syrup, cranberry, lime, and cinnamon. $15 is a good price for a drink at Disney or most anywhere as you go out, as we alluded to when we went to the Jacksonville Iceman game last weekend. So I was like, all right, I'm going to get that. That sounds great. This was super delicious. And I know I've mentioned, like, I'm just starting to kind of like get into, whiskeys and bourbons and things like that. I still have no clue what I'm doing or what I'm drinking. I take recommendations from people like our buddy Chuck and Amy and all, because they know it very well. Four Roses, I do really enjoy, that Chuck brought us the other weekend.
Costco has it.
Yes, they do. But this to me was a really good introduction to an old fashioned, because you did get those pops of cranberry and lime where, if you're like, well, I don't know if I like whiskey, maybe I've never really had it, I'm going to try it, or bourbon, I should say. It wasn't overpowering. It wasn't like straight.
Good. I did taste it. It was,
you didn't love it, but
no, but it was okay. I mean, it's not something I would pick though.
Yeah.
So,
what did you get?
Well, of course, I got a dirty martini.
Of course.
And it was fantastic.
That's your go-to now.
Good. Very good. But it was super funny because we were like, all right, do we get something else or do we move on? But the funny part is I heard the couple next to us, because our seat was a 4-person seat, basically under an umbrella, but they just kind of moved us over just a little bit, where, I mean, you could have almost felt like you were sitting with the other couple.
Yeah, you're very close.
In fact, at one point she was like, what did you get there? Yeah. But I heard them ask if they had coffee. And she basically was like, well, we have a cappuccino and we have this. And I thought I heard her say an espresso martini. So I was like, was not on the menu at all.
Yeah.
But spoiler alert, I got that for my second drink. But after a little while, that was almost like my dessert until she brought the dessert menu. It
was really, really good.
It was.
Like, I live for that Riviera espresso martini, and I think this one might have ousted it a little bit.
Ooh.
It was very, very good.
Yeah.
So we're like, all right, I knew you wanted the Cobb salad, and we were looking over the appetizers. We absolutely love the charcuterie board here. It has the honeycomb on it. Thank you, Ashley, who, by the way, got us a little honeycomb for Christmas. She's like, I keep hearing you guys talk about honeycomb on the podcast. She's like, I had to get you some, and I'm super excited for it.
Yeah.
We're going to use it. We have a Christmas party this Friday. We're planning with Ashley and Karen, and I'm like, we'll buy the meats and the cheeses if you will assemble the charcuterie board.
Yep.
Because she's good at that type of stuff. And I'm like, and I got the honeycomb. So we'll put that on there.
Black olives.
So good. But we did decide on the crab Louis.
Yeah. So there was a couple of new things, which I would, of course, share this, but there was an escargot where you were kind of excited about. And I was like, but I'm not going to eat it. Like, that's gross to me.
Yeah. And I didn't want the whole thing.
So we decided on this crab Louis. So there were a couple of newer items to us. We were very excited. So this is crispy olive bread, citrus blend, fried capers, and a Louis sauce for $17. And we'll go ahead and take it away because you Maryland boy.
Well, this is like a crab and avocado stack.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a layer. I mean, it's formed in a mold, and they're taking that little mold off, and it is a baseline of probably almost an inch tall of jumbo lump crab meat, which is lightly, I felt like seasoned with maybe a little bit of lemon juice or something, but
citrus.
not over seasoned.
Oh yeah.
On top of that is a bit of slightly mashed avocado.
Mm-hmm.
That is then topped with the crispy olive bread, and then there is this little like salad with a very light vinaigrette dressing on top of that bread, and then smeared on the sides of each is this Louis sauce.
Mm-hmm.
So
beautiful too, by the way.
Oh, this is a beautiful dish, and I think it's a good portion. I mean, this is a very shareable appetizer, at least amongst two people.
I'd agree, and I gave you more because
yes, you did.
Thank you. I mean.
This was outstanding.
It was. I just started to say, almost spoiler alert, but we'll just get to it. You were so like when Jeremy's really impressed with something because he is from the area that like has all that where he's eating stuff and he's like, this is garbage. And I'm like, I don't know any better. So when he does love something this good, then I'm like, all right, well, I'll give you the extra bites. Well, and I knew my Cobb salad was coming, so I was like, I'm good.
It's one of those things, again, for me, I love crab. It's probably one of my favorite foods. It's easily my favorite seafood. Don't mask the flavor of the crab. Mm-hmm. You know, and that's what happens a lot that I find with crab cakes is there's so much filler. There's so much, and I totally get it. Crab is not cheap. You know, it is very, very expensive. And so I totally get where sometimes restaurants may be like, look, we're going to call this a crab cake, but we really got to put a lot of filler in it because crab is expensive. Yeah. Fine. I've certainly found, I forget who I was saying this to recently. I was like, you know what? I wish at that point they would just call it a seafood cake as opposed to a crab cake, right?
I'd agree with that. That's legit, or what's the word I'm looking for?
I think so. I mean, so
acceptable.
No, but this was not masking any flavor, full of crab flavor, jumbo lump. The avocado was a perfect pair, like to go with it. Normally, good. I like things more straight up, but this was so good to scoop up the crab, the avocado, put it on the little olive bread, and which was super crispy.
Oh, so good.
And then this Louis sauce was filled with crab flavor. I don't know if they made like a crab stock because there was no like actual crab in it unless it was completely blended.
Yeah.
Like they could have put crab meat and blended it, but it was almost like they used a crab stock. Like I honestly feel like I could have taken a bowl of this Louis sauce and heated it
like
up.
A soup.
Yeah, like heated it up like a soup.
It.
I thought it was outstanding.
Well, good. No, it was. It really was.
Absolutely loved it. I would get this again and again. We told our waitress, we said, man, I'm so glad this is good because we were so disappointed from years ago when the crab wonton came off the menu.
Yep.
And that's another one. I remember going, blue crab wonton. You guys you're just trying to take something that doesn't need a bunch of additional items. It does not need any filling. It does not need a wonton wrapped around it. It does not need to be deep fried. And then we ate it and I was like, good job, guys. This is amazing.
That was one of the best things I
love this thing.
I miss it.
I do
I'm not
too.
gonna lie.
Yeah. And then we also said, because a recent menu change that I know our good friend Michael is very, very upset about, and I believe he has put a complete bar now on Brown Derby, is the burger that they had. That is off the menu. What she told us was that the short rib, which is kind of what they brought in to replace it, is very, very good.
Okay.
But that burger was top 5 on property.
Yeah.
I'm sad to see it gone.
Aww.
All right. Cobb salad.
Yep. It's their famous Cobb salad, but you can add shrimp or chicken. They did completely take off the lobster because they had lobster. And
they had lobster on the menu last time.
Well, right.
They did not actually have lobster in their possession.
Yes, that's what I should have said. They had it on the menu, so I was excited for it, but they did not have it. And this time, I don't know if it was just too hard to get or whatever, but it was not even on an option. So with all that being said, we had shrimp, and I was like, well, let's do chicken. And I, of course, ask if it's grilled because sometimes with Cobb salad like that, they'll do a fried.
I would have been okay with it.
I was super excited it was grilled.
Me too.
It was fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't beat the Cobb salad, but with this chicken, like, and even Jeremy said it later to me, he was like, I think the chicken is a way better pair than the shrimp. Now, don't get me wrong. The shrimp was fantastic last time.
Very good.
But I do agree with him. And this chicken, it just was so good. It was so tender. Great, good chunks. I mean, seriously, it's their Cobb salad. And I don't know what they do, how they do it. I mean, it's split roast turkey, bacon, eggs, tomatoes, blue cheese, avocado, and some classic dressing that I'm sure it's a secret because I've never had a Cobb salad as good as this.
No, not at all.
And
It's
I've had other
absolutely
Cobb salads
outstanding.
other places.
For sure.
So-
I loved it. It's a good portion to split. It is a nice light lunch. You know, we're hitting
It is.
80 degrees this day. Sun is shining. It is just that perfect, like, sit outside, relax,
It really
have
was.
your drink, have something light. It's not going to weigh you down for the rest of the day or the rest of the evening as you're hopping around theme parks.
Yep.
It's one of those that it is so hard pressed to go here and not get this, even though there's a lot of other wonderful items on the menu.
Right.
'Cause
But
you know,
we knew this was lunch and we wanted something light.
yeah. I will say we've eaten this multiple times. I would probably put this dish up there with one of the items we've eaten the most outside of probably some dishes at Three Bridges.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Or
said to you,
spaghetti
it is, well, yeah, from Tuna Gusto. This is one of the most consistent dishes I've ever had. And that goes anywhere.
Oh,
I mean, that goes, even if I
100%.
said, I'm going to go to my local restaurant and I love getting this thing every time I go, this is the most consistent dish.
Absolutely.
I don't think it varies. You know, we've had things before where somebody else said, this is amazing. And maybe we went and got it and we're like, I didn't love it. Something was
Right.
off that day or vice versa.
Correct.
And I love
feel like
this
it's
dish
ever
so
off.
much. No, it's
Yeah.
never ever off. And you're right, that chicken is the go-to.
Yeah.
Absolutely outstanding. So she came around, she was like, would you guys like to see a dessert menu? And normally my reaction is no. And then Rhonda's is always, it doesn't hurt, does it?
Yeah.
Did it hurt?
No, it didn't
No,
hurt.
it did not.
Well, and I'm looking and I'm like, oh, crap. There's creme brulee.
Yeah.
And it's a citrus and cherry spiced compote. And I said, is the creme brulee good? And she's like, oh, yeah, that cherry compote. And I was like, all right, that's what we're going to get. No, but I was very excited. It was $13 and it was fantastic. It was a great creme brulee. The custard was so thick and good, and you could see the vanilla bean like dots, basically what I call them, in there. And it was just a great, great custard. And then you mix that with the cherry compote. And then it actually came with what she called a biscotti. But I'm going to say it was a shortbread.
Yeah.
Because a biscotti is very crunchy and harder. This was soft. And now, because the custard was so good and creamy, it could have probably used more of a little crunch.
Yeah, like an actual biscotti
An
would have been
actual-
really good with it as a
but-
balance. But
Oh my goodness.
this was still
it
outstanding.
still was fantastic.
Yeah. It stood on its own. If they
It
just
did.
said like, hey,
It
I'll
did.
give you a basket of this shortbread,
Absolutely.
biscotti, whatever they're calling it, I would take a
100%.
basket of that.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
I loved it. And we're so familiar with it now because Lacey's been making shortbread for the holiday
Yes.
season. And it was like Lacey's shortbread in flavor, but not as dense.
Correct.
And this was a big, thick piece.
Yes.
And I absolutely loved it. I mean,
Me too.
you know, Hollywood Brown Derby Lounge is a go-to.
Oh, yeah.
You know, we had a little family meeting earlier about our Christmas trip here and finding out exactly what it is the girls want to do
That was super
and
fun.
what we're trying to check off.
were
I was
wrapping
shocked.
gifts.
Yeah, I was
Like,
shocked
this
by
was
some of the stuff they
amazing.
said.
I was
It
too.
My favorite, Lacey goes, I want chicken and waffles at Hollywood Studios.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, we'll get chicken and waffles.
And of course, Kaylin wants to go to Epcot and get her chicken teriyaki, which I was just thinking, we haven't had our spaghetti. Maybe we should get our spaghetti then.
Maybe that's our Epcot day.
Yep.
My favorite thing that Kaylin said today was, she goes, you know, I'd like to close a park. She goes,
Yeah.
after, you know, like the nighttime show or whatever it is, and everybody starts to leave and it gets a little quiet and all. She's like, I want
And
to do
it's
that. And
knowing because
I'm like, what?
and I'm thinking she's thinking and meaning Hollywood
Hollywood
whenever
Studios. Yeah, we'll do
because
that.
it's just so amazing and when it's decorated and but yeah, that girls want to ride everything. I'm super I'm super excited. So I already started like gathering my bubble wands and my light up necklaces and
Yeah. We've literally started packing pretty much. So.
Pretty much.
All right, let's move on, and I'm just gonna let's talk in general now and get this one out of the way. Even though we didn't get to check in. We checked in to the hotel, but the room was not available, and we had to head down and do some things. But let's talk about Wyndham Garden Lake Buena Vista, right there at the entrance to Disney Springs. We have stayed in the tower before. Yep. This is a multi hotel, basically, because you have your tower, which is going to be your indoor hotel setup.
Correct.
And then you have your 2 garden wings on either side, which are your motel outdoor, outside entry portion. So this was our first time in the garden section. So let's talk about it. I mean, we've talked about in the past, we love the tower. We love the lobby. We love the Oasis pool bar. The pool here is at a very high level. Short of a slide, this is very much a deluxe resort pool and bar area, I believe. And I would venture to say that the tower, they do not have balconies, so therefore it very much falls under the moderate level at a much lower cost point. Where do you feel that the garden rooms sit? Because this is a motel, so you're looking at a combination between value, between moderate. Where do you think this falls in a sense, and what did you think of the room? Because I loved it. We have a new go-to.
Yeah, I mean, any pop century, the Art of Animation, Ariel, all the all-stars, they are all this motel setup. Now, yeah, you still have like Disney stuff, but it's still that motel, and honestly, I was okay with it. I love that it is the closest to Disney Springs, which is amazing. I'm not gonna lie, a little bit. I don't know if it's because it's not on Disney property, and I guess because it's easier to kind of walk through and it is kind of gated to put your car in and everything, but I guess I was a little like coming home at night, like thinking, all right, we're gonna be fine, right?
Yeah, I don't know where you're going there, because I think this is but this to me, compared to, we really enjoyed the Holiday Inn recently, and we're gonna stay at the Drury here. Yeah. This being at the front door of Disney Springs, to me, makes it feels like it is truly the Disney Springs hotel.
Yes, and I agree, and that's what I was saying. Like, I think my brain was, because it's not on Disney property, that's why I was thinking that it is, but it was not, is what I was trying to say.
Gotcha.
Like, I think I was like, well, are we gonna be? But it was, everything was great. Yeah. Like, I did not at all. Like, I do feel like I was on Disney property. Sorry.
Yeah. I mean, it is Disney property.
Well, right.
Technically, it's not Disney owned.
Yes.
Is what you mean.
Correct.
But by the time you walk across those walkways from Disney Springs and you come down the stairs or the elevator, you are, 100, 200 yards to basically the entrance, the parking lot area.
Yeah. And then because we were outside.
Yeah. It was super easy to get to.
Closer.
I loved it. In this room layout, we ended up, we had a king room. Mm-hmm. So it was a king bed. It had a pull-out couch.
Which I think was a full, I believe.
Full, possibly, yeah. It might have been a queen. I'm awful at telling bed sizes.
I know, but it looked like just two, like if we sat on the couch.
Yeah.
Like.
This was an absolute perfect layout for a couple. For this room.
Yes, 100%.
You can get one with 2 queen beds,
yep.
and that would be wonderful. There's a ton of storage here. They've got hooks up front that we hung our lounge flies on, and it was even like this hook that you could put your ears on top of the bag.
So much storage.
Yeah.
And the room size itself in the room area where you're hanging out is
really
great size, honestly.
Big TV. Big fridge. Small freezer, which is a nice addition, because you're not getting that at most places, even any freezer at all.
Right.
Yeah, I think the only downside is that the sink so the bathroom area is very much like one of the value resorts at the All-Stars just said.
I was just going to say, yes, the only, and I don't even know if you'd call it a downfall, because, it's not like you spend time in the bathroom.
Right.
It would just be because, for example, me and the girls getting ready together, it would be where I'd need to be like Lucy, where she actually will sit on the bed and she has this beautiful mirror. And I think she told me she got it on Amazon. And that is something that I could possibly get, maybe a stocking stuffer. I think it was pretty cheap.
Make a note of that one.
because it was smaller, actually. I could sit on the bed and I could do my makeup, and then the girls could be, and then if I was sharing the room, like hypothetically with, Lucy and Caleb, it would be a situation where, it is just a small area that, like, she'd either have to put her makeup. We couldn't do it together.
Right.
So.
Yeah. And that was the only little bit of a downfall, because the rest of it, where you have the toilet and the shower, is just like most
normal.
places you've gone, and that was perfectly sized. Yep. So yeah, I could see that part, but I loved everything else about this room.
I did too.
The
beds was super comfortable.
So good. Nice big comfy pillows.
So many what do you call them? Like plug-ins, but what are they? The USB.
Wait, USB and regular
so
DC
many.
charges.
So many.
Like
the clock had like 4.
Right.
2 USB and 2 plug-ins. And then there was 4 more right there by the clock in the wall.
Yeah.
And then there was some on the TV. Like there was so many.
Yeah.
So many.
I love it. We sat there and we were like, all right, this is probably a new go-to.
And when we say go-to, it's one of those things where it's like, all right, we're going to stay for a night or 2. And we're like, well, let's try to get the cheapest possible. And then we're like, all right, well, let's check All-Star. Let's check Pop. Let's check. And then now let's check the Wyndham. Let's check Holiday Inn, so.
Yeah. And the only thing we will say is that we're totally cool with walking.
Yes. This is huge.
This is a little bit of a deal breaker potentially.
It is. I don't have my phone, but we did 117 minutes on Saturday on walking.
Okay. But that includes Epcot.
Well, yeah, but still, because we went back and forth.
Right.
And it's just a lot. I don't know the mileage that we air quote unquote walked, but it was a lot.
Yeah. Your 5-minute walk from the hotel to the entrance to Disney Springs. But as we have alluded on social, you're going to want to, it's easier to take advantage of the transportation that is offered at Disney Springs to get to your parks and your other resorts and such.
It is.
I'm sorry, not parks, because they're not running the parks, to resorts.
Right.
So what we have said is, all right, if you're going to Hollywood Studios, you're probably going to walk down there, either Uber, or you're going to walk down to the buses at Disney Springs, and you're going to take a bus to Caribbean Beach. You're going to skyline to Hollywood.
Right.
If you're going to Magic Kingdom, you're going to go down to Disney Springs. You're going to look for the bus for Contemporary and walk over.
Right.
If you are looking at Epcot, you're going to take a bus to most likely Yacht and Beach. You're going to walk through International Gateway. Riviera is an option with Skyliner. If you're going to Animal Kingdom, there's not a lot of great options. You're going to literally have to bus to Animal Kingdom Lodge and then bus from there to Animal Kingdom. But we're okay with that because we are not in a rush. We have time and we're okay walking.
Right.
So again, if you do not want to walk a lot, in addition to what you're walking throughout the parks,
right,
I would budget in Uber or Lyft if you're looking at staying anywhere in the Disney Springs area.
Right.
So that's the only thing that we want to put out there. We're cool with it. We don't mind at all. That's what we did getting throughout.
Yep.
All right. So let's move on because we had a little meetup, met up with Jill and Steve and John outside of House of Blues before the concert. And
so good.
We were a little
Jill.
hungry at this point, right?
Yeah. I wanted a hot dog.
You really did. I don't know why we didn't. They had a footlong hot dog out there at House of Blues. So they have a separate, Stitch is agreeing. They have a separate smokehouse menu outside that you can get. And
starts at 5.
Yes, starts at 5. Grace was our wonderful waitress. Happy birthday to her.
Yeah.
It was her birthday. She was wearing a little button. So we did not opt for the foot-long hot dog.
Nope.
What did we get?
Smokehouse nachos,
Yeah.
and you can add pulled pork or a brisket. So this was $11, and it's house-cut tortilla chips topped with aged cheddar cheese and avocado, roasted corn salsa, red onion, and cojita cheese. And then, of course, we added the brisket, and I really liked this.
Yeah.
I mean, for being smokehouse nachos, because obviously there was some, what do you call it? Barbecue sauce on it. I really liked him for that. It's not your normal, but you know, sometimes it's fun to get something different.
Yeah, I did. My first couple bites, I was like, it took my brain a little bit to be like, well, this isn't like your standard like Mexican style nachos.
It's like the shrimp and grits that I got with the barbecue.
No, that's true. But then once I got into it a little couple bites, I was like, okay, this is really, really good.
It was.
So we really enjoyed this. This was kind of our pre-show, pre-gaming, I guess you should say, before we got into House of Blues.
Yep.
So we went ahead, lined up for the show. I will say now, I know, listen, I'm sorry, if you want to skip ahead, skip ahead. I know people are probably tired of hearing me sometimes talk about Blue October, but I will say this band has easily moved up over the past 2 years to possibly be one of my favorite bands of all time. It is
even over 21.
It's close, man.
Wow.
I will say when you look at the story of their lead singer, Justin, and you look at what he's been through and you look at what he's come out in the end now and where he is, when you listen to some of the lyrics, it is a life-changing band for me. I think it's something that over the past couple years, it's one of those bands that has gotten me through a lot, the way that when I was much, much younger, bands like Creed and Stabbing Westward did, lyrically and musically and all of that. Outside of the Christmas season, because I listen to Christmas music from November 1st to basically New Year's, I am listening to a Blue October playlist every single day.
Wow.
And it has been, very life-changing type of band. So I know people are probably sick of me hearing talk about it, but we make sure to see them anytime they're near.
Yeah.
And I can tell you right now, they're coming in April to the Garden Rocks. I cannot wait already to plan that and be back there. That's going to be super fun. But in general, if you enjoy rock music, alternative music, I highly suggest you check out Blue October if they come near you. I would also suggest that if you are in Disney and you have a night free and you happen to see any band that you might enjoy coming to House of Blues, this is one of my favorite venues of all time.
Yeah, it is super fun. I
absolutely love it. I've gone to a lot of venues. I've seen a lot of bands. This is one of my favorites. It is super intimate and close, and it's an awesome venue.
Yeah.
So go see it. And the tickets are not insane.
Yep.
When we look at our Ticketmaster fees and other, we go to see Taylor Swift for $1 million and you can't get tickets. It is awesome that you can go see incredible live music like this at Disney Springs. So.
And it was super fun because we met this awesome couple, Amy and Sean, and we got to talking with them and actually hung out the whole time.
That was great.
And then she actually just told us of another concert they're going to go into in March that we might
have to look at.
You're
like, you want Concert Buddy again? Dropkick Murphys.
Yeah.
I'm going to play you some Dropkick Murphys after this. You might change your mind.
Oh.
Knowing probably your style and what you like.
Okay.
But yeah, so we get in there and we get a spot. We actually got up at the second level and we had a good view, like overlooking. You can see the whole stage and everything.
It was cool.
And there was I just absolutely love live music. And one of the things that I love and hate is opening bands, because these are bands that are usually trying to make their mark. And sometimes you do get stuck with ones that you're like, look, I appreciate what y'all are doing,
but
you're very talented, but I just don't care for it.
Yeah.
And so I saw there's this opening band and they're called the Beatnik Bandits. And I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm not going to look them up. I'm not going to do anything. I just want to be surprised. Let's just see what they're like. So just to add a little bit more value, I guess, to this episode, we'll give you guys a quick listen to the Beatnik Bandits.
Her name is Annie, now she goes by Charlotte Tombstone. Take money from your body just to buy a new home. Met my brother John late the end of May. He gave her mama's diamond ring that very next day. Oh, something in her eyes. I saw the devil's lies, he wasn't listening to me. Something in her eyes, I saw the devil's lies, he wasn't listening to me.
So I really enjoyed them. It was this combination of like folk, rock, country. You remember Nathaniel Radcliffe?
No.
The Son of a Bee song that I would blast from the golf cart the whole time we were going through Fort Wilderness that one year.
It was annoying.
Nathaniel Radcliffe in the Night Sweats, I believe is the name of the full band.
Okay.
That's what it reminded me of. And they were super energetic and they were really, really good.
Yeah.
I thought as far as live bands go, I absolutely love them. And I was super surprised, and I'm going to add them to my Spotify and my playlist because I really enjoyed them.
Well, good. I'm glad.
Let's move on to Blue October, and we will not spend a ton of time on this because I know this isn't technically Disney related. For anyone who has still not looked up Blue October, how dare you? After how many times I've mentioned them, here's a little snippet of them playing live in one of my absolute favorite songs.
I'm never gonna give up. Remember what abuse did. Each time you look at facing, as if you in any way understood. It always lowered me to downsize. It always lowered my faith. But it's in the corner rising next to me. It's in the corner like it upstays. I can't explain the way I feel inside. Maybe because it's up there. Yeah, you and me so alive. You can't admit your poison goes up and yeah, you and me so.
Yeah, they are really good. I do love them every time. It's just so fun. And it was super funny because this time I'm like, I love them enough, obviously, to buy merchandise. And so it actually got cooler for us two Floridians now. And I bought a sweatshirt because I knew my daughter, Kaylin, would share it with me.
I would share it. It's just not going to fit me.
Right. And then we actually got you a nice thin long sleeve because we have t-shirts and we have tanks and stuff. Well, I do, but, yeah, it was super funny because we did that and then wore them the whole time.
Yeah. The whole show inside.
Kind of cool.
Yeah.
All night.
Was just absolutely amazing experience. So again, you judge for yourself. If you like them or not, that's cool. But House of Blues is a wonderful venue, and I highly suggest it. It was when we were actually outside talking to Grace. Because she was like, "Who's playing tonight?" And I was like, "Blue October," and she's like, "I don't know if I know them." And she was about 5 years younger than us, and I was like, "There's a song. It's called Hate Me. I guarantee you know it. You would probably recognize." She goes, "Yeah, And she first slipped up and she goes, "I think it was like Alien Ant Farm was here the other week." And I was like, "Wait, what?" And she's like, No, AFI. And I was like, "Oh, if you tell me Alien Ant Farm comes here, I will immediately drive down to watch them." I would love to see them live. I think they're one of the few bands I missed. So we actually ended up having such a great time talking about this fun-filled weekend that we ran super duper long for this episode when we were recording it. So we decided to break it up into 2 parts. So if you want to hear the rest of the trip, including a Garden Grill review and seeing Josh Gad at the Candlelight Processional, as well as a lot of pizza eating, you have to tune in on Friday. So for now, thank you guys so much for listening. We'll be back with the rest of this episode later this week. And as long as you're out there, go ahead and subscribe. You can get brand new episodes every Tuesday and Friday. And as always, we'd be super duper thankful if you'd leave us a rating and review.
Because it'll help our show grow.
That's all we've got. We'll see you real soon.
Jeremy and Rhonda are more than a little fond of Disney World, so they made this podcast to share it all with you. Reports and resorts, top 10 lists of all sorts, Main Street Magic's bringing it home for you.